Amarasanti on the show
last week.
David Oyelowo on the show about a month ago. So
Yeah,
it does
right.
feel as though we've been talking about a United Kingdom.
It does
for quite a while. But anyway,
but rightly so. So United Kingdom, which is the new movie by Amarasanti, based on a true story script by Guy Hibbert, about the relationship between Ruth Williams and Seretse Khama, who met in London in the 1940s. He was waiting to be a leader in Botswana land. They decided to get married. This created an enormous amount of political havoc, with the British government up in arms about it because it was going to annoy the South Africans, upon whom they were dependent for gold and uranium. Meanwhile, Seretse's uncle in Botswana land, now Botswana, was very, very unhappy about the marriage. So basically, the whole thing was happening amidst a political turmoil that threatened to tear the couple apart. And what the film does is tell the story of their relationship amidst that turmoil in a way which, for me, absolutely embodies what Amarasanti does best, mixing the personal and the political. Here is a scene from very early on in the film in which they have been out on a date together, and he is about to reveal to her what his true identity is.
We should stop here. My father, he wouldn't approve. I'm just 2 streets away. Can we do this again? I mean, meet. Is that too forward of me?
No.
What?
Queen Victoria. The man who negotiated for her protection of Botswana land. He was my grandfather, a king. I am his heir. For more than 20 years, my uncle has been on the throne as regent, preparing me to rule. My education is now complete, and it is time for me to return.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Thank you for explaining. Not simply disappearing. I quite understand. I have had a wonderful evening.
No, I don't think you do understand. I don't know what happened tonight, but I do know that I would hate to walk away from you here in this moment, knowing that I wouldn't see you again.
So I've now seen the film more than once. In fact, I've seen the film 3 times, and I like it very much. And there are a number of things I like about it. The first is Amarasanti is terrific with her cast. Obviously, she cut her teeth as an actor. She was on Grange Hill, way, way back. And so she obviously knows how to get great performances out of her cast. I mean, the film is very well cast itself. I mean, David Oyelowo is absolutely terrific. Rosamund Pike does a great job of embodying the character of Ruth Williams, but she knows how to get good performances from her cast. The second thing is that when you interviewed her, you referred to the fact that Peter Bradshaw in The Guardian had said this was the kind of film that Richard Attenborough would have liked and perhaps made. And she then also said, well, yeah, obviously, very flattered because of Attenborough and Lean being kind of, guiding lights. And what the film does have is it has that, lovely epic sweep that the conflict between, entrenched institutions and, and something new, the future, is being played out as a contrast between fusty interiors, excellent production design by Simon Bowles again, and sweeping exteriors. So you get that cinematic sense. It's also an important story because it's particularly at a moment, in the divisive times in which we live, a story which talks about not just love triumphing, but actually, racial boundaries being broken down and people standing up against injustice and people, following their lights, and a story which has a progress towards something which is actually positive, I think is really, really important. The interesting thing is that I think the thing I didn't get about United Kingdom the very first time I saw it, when I saw it I think it was just a couple of people in the screening room. We're seeing it the second time with a packed house, which just what a terrifically crowd-pleasing film it is. And this really impressed me because I think that in terms of, making the personal political and making the political personal, what you need to do, Amarasanti said on the show last week that she wanted to make beautiful films that meant something. And if you look at something like Belle, that's exactly what it is. You can be absolutely enraptured by the wonderful sets, the terrific performances, the fantastic interplay between these characters. And again, it's a moment of flux in history, which is, she said that she's very, very interested in that, and obviously with her next project as well, which sounds absolutely fascinating. But those movies can only work in the way they do if they will work with a large audience. And I sat in an audience with that film who were laughing at the jokes, who were swooning at the romance, who were gasping at moments of revelation, who were literally cheering during the moments of triumph. And I think that we often forget just what an achievement it is to make a film that has an important story and that is in itself, culturally important, but that a film that wins an audience over. And I think that occasionally, when I have any criticism, I think occasionally some of the dialogue is a little bit on the nose, but it's there. Amma handles the material so well that actually that never becomes a problem. It's a film that is really well played, clearly made with great affection and love. It was interesting hearing her interview with you last week in which she was talking about filming Botswana and the heat. She was talking about the heat they were working in, these staggering temperatures.
Yeah, it was 50 degrees or something like that.
And yet you never get the sense watching it that it's a film made under oppressive circumstances. I mean, it seems to be, it's a film which is, very, I was comparing it to Robert Zemeckis. I was saying the weird thing about Zemeckis' filmmaking is in the past he's been agile, he's been nimble, he's been malleable. And none of those things seem to be true of Allied, and all of those things seem to be true of a United Kingdom. So it won me over wholeheartedly. And I think, again, I come back to this thing that what Amma Asante manages to do is to engage you on a personal level, is to tell stories that work personally, that seem universal, even though they are about specifics, and it's in the details of the specifics that, that the universality comes out. She's a generous filmmaker, and you can see that the actors like working with her. You can tell that people are raising their game. I love the score. I like the slightly old-fashioned feeling of it. And I say that, again, in comparison to Allied, which felt old-fashioned as in fusty.
And kind of the same period, certainly within a couple of years.
Yeah, well, this is immediately post-war, and obviously the Brad Pitt and Marianne Cotillard is right in the middle of the war, and is nonsense. And this isn't nonsense. And I think this will appeal to a wide audience, and I really hope it does well. And
Tony Benn's in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
not literally
the Tony Benn,
Yeah,
a character
literally, yeah.
playing Tony Benn.